You are listening to the best of the Classic Metal Show podcast. Catch the Classic Metal Show every Saturday from 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. Eastern Time over at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. The following podcast is sponsored by the Pennsylvania Coin-Operated Gaming Hall of Fame and Museum, located in Hopewell Township, Pennsylvania. Over 400 video games and pinball machines there for you to play. It's all vintage. It's all good. So come on out and play it over at the Pennsylvania Coin-Operated Gaming Hall of Fame and Museum, located in Pennsylvania. For more information on the Gaming Hall of Fame, go to www.coinophof.com. And now let's get to it on another edition of the best of the Classic Metal Show.
It's brand new UFO right here on your Classic Metal Show with Rolling. And we want to thank Andy Parker for being a part of the Classic Metal Show. Again, real nice guy. Very jovial. He actually likes speaking to you, Chris.
I like Andy, man, and seems like him and I have struck up a little friendship.
Yeah. You're like pals. So next time they play the Tangier or something, you'll have front folding chair seats.
Oh, you really assume I'm going, right?
You did at one time.
I went once.
Yeah, you did.
I went. I experienced it. I'm good.
Sure.
I love that solo though in that song.
Yeah, it was good.
I know a lot of people do not like Vinnie Moore, Jackal one especially, but of course he doesn't. No Shanker, no UFO, man. But,
we had Shanker on last week.
I know, but he was not in UFO, so that's...
Yeah, so what?
Fake UFO.
He hasn't been in UFO in how many years?
Unidentified fake object.
Right.
UFO. But man, that solo from Vinny in that song, that just fucking rips.
Right.
I like that. It's good.
Well, there you are.
Yeah. How about Tony Harnell, huh?
Well, I did not expect it to go for 2 hours. I'm not complaining. I'm glad he wanted to do it as much as he did, and he hung on there, and I think he probably would have stayed even longer if there was more to cover, but it was the Tony Harnell show here on the Classic Metal Show.
I don't know what else there was to ask. I didn't have anything else to ask him.
No, he covered it all. I mean, he talked about his departure from TNT and his his invite to Skid Row, and that he had to audition just like any other singer out there, and
sure,
it wasn't a lock, and he feels that he'll be able to do the older catalog justice, and he's happy to do it, and he's happy to be with a band that will play American dates, and
sure,
Tony is a professional singer, and I think that we talked a little bit about this a week or so ago, but I truly believe that probably one of the, not aside from his talent, like you said, I think that the fact that he can get along is going to be a big bonus.
Oh, I think so too. I think that's going to definitely help him. But you know what? The one thing with him, he's not one of those guys that'll stick around if it's going bad.
Yeah, well, I agree with that too. But I think that from the standpoint of, he's not going to be the pain in the ass that causes that to happen.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so.
I
don't think so at all.
I mean, I think he'll be tolerant. I mean, you heard him tell the story about joining TNT for 2 dates, and they start booking all these dates, and he's just like, what's that?
I said they filled up his schedule.
Yeah, and they go, okay, well, I'll roll with this, but as we roll along, we're going to have to talk and negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty clear that he wanted to work with those guys, but if somebody isn't going to be honest with you and up front, it's pointless.
Right. Dude, how uncomfortable must it have been those last couple of months of Skid Row with Johnny when they already knew that they...
Well, do you think Johnny just didn't know?
No, I don't. I
think anybody, regardless if it's a normal 9-to-5 job or a job in a band,
yeah,
I think that you can kind of have an impending feeling that something's going to happen.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's that. I think he did know. I think he I think he knew it was. I think he knew things weren't right.
Sure.
I don't know that he thought he was getting kicked out of the band, but if you noticed, and I don't know if you, I mean, because I have him on Facebook and whatnot, and I know Johnny a little bit, I follow him, and he's been hyping his country stuff a lot more,
right,
in the last 6-8 months.
Okay.
So I almost wonder if he sort of had it in his head that it was coming as well, and was positioning himself, you know, to do the next thing. You know,
or they let him go before he cut out of the picture on his own.
And that could be too. That could very well be too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we ever will know. But dude, how about Harnell just flat out admitting, yeah, that's what it was in January.
Yeah, well, fine. I'm glad he said what he said. It's just, you know, because there was a reason. I mean, because Tony, I have no doubt that would have come on had there not been something going on.
Oh, sure.
You know, he would have come on in January, but since this was in the wings and
right.
he knew it was in the works, this is like, you know, I'll save my thunder for a couple of months.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. But definitely cool, man. I mean, obviously, there's no secret. I know Tony and we communicate back and forth, but man, he was wide open, huh?
Yeah. Well,
it's cool, man.
Well, especially with, you know, like the phone calls. He says, ask me anything. Ask me, you know, don't hold back. Ask me anything.
Exactly.
You know, I got nothing to hide.
That was, I mean, but, you know, that's pretty big of him at this point where he's, you know, the wrong thing could really fuck up what he's trying to start.
That's true, too.
You know, but he's like, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep, let's go.
Well, he must feel very comfortable with the Skids and,
yep.
you know, feel like he fits right in. And, you know, they probably have given him that sense of security that, you know, we're glad to have you. And,
sure,
you know, so I hope it turns things around for them, you know, and it maybe raises their profile a little bit. I don't know, in this day and age with the market the way it is, you know, the touring market and everything, it's hard to tell, but, you know, maybe they'll record something that will end up in a movie or something, you know?
I would just like to see that band be better on stage. And I'll tell you now, there's that, you know, the last one that I went to, the last.
Yeah. The one at the Akron Civic.
No, at the Agora, the one.
That yeah. The one, there was only 40 people there.
With no one in it. And I think I came on the show that week after that show and said, I'll never go see them again. I think that's what I said.
And I think we played some audio from the show.
Yeah, and it was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Now that Tony's in the band, I'm absolutely, that's a must-see show for me.
I agree with you.
It's at least that first time, it's a must-see show. You know, because one, I've been wanting to see Harnell forever, you know, and two, I actually like the thought of a much more dominant vocalist in that band.
Right.
And he is definitely a dominant singer.
Sure,
you know,
he is.
Solinger was like, I don't know, you know, I hate to say he wasn't a good Bach clone, but he just missed on everything.
Yeah, he didn't have the range for one thing.
Yeah. But even when he would do the songs, they just felt just a little bit off. And I don't even know if it was range or if it was just not the right attitude or not the right inflections or something. But it just was not hitting no matter what.
Right.
And, you know, I'm excited to see what they're going to do. So anyway, that's that. And Tony Harnell, 2 hours tonight. Wow.
Sure. Take that, Eddie.
Hey. Why is everybody picking on Eddie tonight?
I don't know.
Good Lord. You know, Phil Ooze throwing up the picture of Eddie Trunk looking all depressed and putting in a caption of us having Andy Parker and Tony Harnell.
Sure.
It's funny. I don't know why everybody wants to beat on Eddie. At least Eddie's talking about this shit. He could be talking about Godsmack and fucking Korn.
True.
You know, give him some credit. He's trying. You know, just because you don't like him doesn't mean he's not trying to keep this shit alive. You know, good on him as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, swinging things back around, last week we had to, you had to bail on the show a little bit early.
Yes.
I mean, we had, listening back for something that was kind of thrown together at the, with limited equipment.
Right.
And using just a small mixing board. Why don't you kind of describe your setup over there? Because you had to go to the Pittsburgh area for a couple of days.
Yeah, I was
and do some promotion for the Pinball Hall of Fame because things are heating up over there in the Pittsburgh area, being it is spring, and it was the Pirates home opener, and there was a Comic Con or something going on, and
right.
You guys kind of wanted to capitalize on those events to do some promotions, so you had to go down there and spend a couple of days, as well as do some actual physical work at the building itself.
Sure. There was just lots to do. And so, I knew I was going to be there for a few days. So I brought what I thought was enough equipment. I brought the little mixer that you gave me, the mic mixer, whatever that.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a mic mixer.
Yeah. I brought that, and I brought my laptop, and I brought some mics, and I thought that was enough. And the one thing I didn't have that Ed told me he had was an extra cable.
Right.
I just, because I had forgotten that when we put this new mic in, we used the old cable.
Sure.
Or when we put one of these pieces needed the old cable.
Right.
So I didn't have a second cable. So I figured, Ed, he's been in bands for 20 fucking years.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I thought, this guy's got to have some equipment somewhere.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a cable laying around, but no. So we had to bum and borrow a cable, and we got one, and you heard it when we were. You'll see it when you get there in a month. But the way where I was set up was, we don't have the tables and the chairs set up yet for the party center. So there's this big open space in the back of the building.
Okay.
And basically I just threw a table in the middle of it, and that's where I set up for working and for doing the show that night. And I just set up a table there and, set up the equipment and was there. So I'm in the middle of this and it was weird because it sounded like we were echoing just because it's a big open space.
Yeah, you definitely had a wide open space because when your friend Matt was back there laughing, I mean, it almost sounded like a laugh track.
Yeah, I mean, he was bellowing, but that had a lot to do with the alcohol too, I think. But we were set up, and it was real ghetto. I mean, it was definitely a ghetto setup. At one point, I didn't have a second mic stand. So Ed took a milk crate, flipped it over, hooked the mic up to a what do you call those wrenches? Like a clamp?
Okay.
Like a clamp, and wedged the clamp into the grating of the milk crate as a makeshift mic stand.
Okay.
I mean, we were ghetto as ghetto could be.
No, you gotta use the terminology. You were bare bones, man.
Bare bones, my ass. This was our early rap station ghetto.
Oh, basically nigger rigged.
Hey. I don't use those words.
Sure.
Terrible.
Right.
But yeah, it was real ghetto. And we were trying to give it a go. And it seemed like it was working okay.
Well, your mic was fine. I listened to probably 2/3 of the show on the podcast, and your mic was fine.
Yeah, it was that other mic.
It was the other cable that was fried. It was just not right. But we'll fix that up. So because if you're gonna have to do shows from there. We definitely want to have you set up to where you can just come in and plug and play.
Yeah. Well, and there's more coming because I for sure have one on the 16th.
Okay.
That for sure I'll be in Pittsburgh that day. So, but yeah, I mean, but we did, we set up and we were doing the show, and it seemed for a while, like everything was going okay. The mic was a little bit squirrely, but other than that, everything seemed like it was going well.
Right.
I thought.
Right.
And, you know, we were having some decent conversation, and we did the Blotzer thing, which was funny, and, you know, things were going along well.
Oh, by the way, well, go ahead. We'll get back to that. Go ahead.
Okay. Until about 12:45.
Right.
And that's when Ed said, "Up, gotta go," you know, and I was like, okay. But then he left Matt with me.
Okay. Now, what were you guys? Well, what were they drink? I don't think you were drinking, were you?
I had a couple of beers, but I think I maybe had like 3.
Okay. So what was everybody else drinking if they were getting so hammered?
Beer, and Ed drinks vodka.
Okay.
So they were drinking vodka, just straight up vodka. It's like vodka on the rocks. It's like, yeah, it's a bit much for me. But Ed was drinking that, and Matt, the thing is, I didn't even realize Matt was drinking real hard. You know, because truthfully, I wasn't paying that much attention to Matt. He was kind of off away from us a little bit, away from the table.
Right.
So I wasn't paying much attention to Matt. Well, when Ed said he had to go, Matt couldn't go. He was like, "Oh, I'm too fucked up to drive."
All right.
And I was like, I even said to Ed, I said, "Well, why don't you take him home?" Ed's like, "Oh, no, that's the other way from where I live." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So Ed left while Matt just plopped right down in Ed's chair right next to the mic.
Well, what does Matt do? I mean, who is he? What does he do?
He's Ed's friend, and he's we're still trying to figure out exactly what his place is in this whole thing.
Okay.
He's not like one of the guys that's an employee, but he's a good friend, and he's always there, and he's, you know, willing to do whatever's needed whenever anything's needed. He's a good dude.
Okay.
I'm not even trying to slam him or anything, you know, but he doesn't have like a job title, so to speak. He's just kind of like that fill-in guy.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever's needed. Well, I guess he thought that what was needed was a third mic.
Okay.
But when he sat down, he had a big glass full of the vodka, straight vodka.
Really? How big of a glass?
It was like a 12-ounce glass.
Really? Just straight vodka?
With just ice in it.
Oh, my
just
God.
a little bit of ice in it and vodka.
That'll just kill you.
And well, that's what him and Ed were drinking. They were drinking this vodka, but I didn't realize. And Ed was drinking it slow, so I didn't really think about it. But I guess Matt wasn't. But when he sat down, and I watched him drink the one real fast, and I was like, oh, boy, this is not going to go well. And he was just like, would not shut the fuck up.
Right.
And that was when you were playing songs or something. So then when you came back and we did something, and then we got into that AJ Pirro story.
Yeah, we got into that, and then we were also talking about the guy who committed suicide because he lost his free buffet.
Yeah.
At a casino out there in Vegas, and he committed suicide in their parking lot and set his car on fire.
Right. Well, I was during the AJ Pirro thing. You heard what he said about he was born, he was a star, whatever. And I wasn't following what he was saying, but I just assumed maybe it was just me. You know, that I was tired. I'd been going since 6 a.m. Now it's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm tired. You know, he's drunk. Maybe I'm not following along quite right, whatever. And you weren't saying, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
So I just assumed maybe it was just me not grasping exactly what he was saying.
Right.
At first, but then he wouldn't shut up. You know, and then at one point, then you went on to that other story. And he was like mumbling.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you know, yeah.
This guy, he was cheap, and he didn't tip, and, you know, just on and on. And just like, okay, you keep interrupting the story here.
Yeah, and I was like, what? And then you said to turn his mic off.
Yeah, I said, you're going to have to turn your friend's mic off.
And I turned his mic off. And I think just because he was hammered, he was extremely fucking butthurt.
Okay.
You know, he was just like, So now it led to you were telling stories. I couldn't hear what you were saying. Now, part of this is, and I told you this on the phone, but I didn't have headphones on because if I had headphones on, then nobody could hear you.
Yeah, so because you're trying to let Ed hear what I was saying,
right?
And then you had to hear what I was saying, so you kind of had like small monitors going on, right? So
I couldn't, because normally I could have just put headphones on and ignored him, but I couldn't. I didn't have any headphones. So you were telling some story and you were taking calls or whatever, or was that when the Jeff Tate thing was going on, maybe?
Well, part of it, because, the real Jeff Tate did call in during that time.
And I couldn't follow any of that because Matt kept talking and he kept going, oh, I guess I'm just not made for radio, man. I guess I'm just supposed to shut the fuck up and be quiet. And I was like, yeah, shut up. And he's like, all right, I'll just shut up now. But man, I really should be on. And I was like, holy shit. And he just kept going and going and going. And I honestly did not hear almost any of the real Jeff Tate stuff.
Sure.
Not that, and from what I understand, it was real funny.
It was really good.
But I didn't hear it.
Yeah, Jeff came out swinging. It was good segment.
I heard almost none of it because I couldn't get past Matt.
Right.
So at the end of that segment, when you went to music, I grabbed my phone and I was like, oh, I got to take a piss. And I went in the bathroom and I texted you. I was like, dude, I cannot come back on the show.
Right. I gotta put this drunk bum to bed.
And then even at that, I jumped out at what, about 2:15 maybe?
Yeah, I only had like 35 minutes left.
Yeah. So whatever time it was, I couldn't get him to go lay the fuck down and go to sleep until almost 4.
Oh boy.
I mean, it was just steady. Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then he went back to the AJ Pirro thing. He's like, oh, that guy, he fucking lived the life, man. And
of course,
you gotta want to live the life. I was like,
well, he's the guy that we always imitate or mimic here on the show.
Yeah.
He was a star, man, and he did things that none of us ever did, man. And he died so early, man.
Better to flame out and go to burn out, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, exactly.
Better to burn out than fade away.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what a fucking nightmare the end of that show was last week.
Well, so basically the plan was you were gonna spend the night there in the Hall of Fame. You had a couch and you brought some blankets and pillow for yourself, but you didn't expect to have another guy that needed somewhere to lay his coconut head down.
No.
So what did you do with this guy?
He ended up laying on the floor. Just the hard cement floor.
Okay.
With nothing but, what do you call those things that you wrap furniture with from a moving company?
A moving blanket.
He had a moving blanket, and that's it. He laid that over top of himself and fucking went to sleep. He had to be hurting the next morning sleeping on that floor.
Well, what did he say when he woke up the next? I mean, I would think that he'd have a hangover and a headache and everything else.
He didn't say a lot. And he just was gone. He woke up and he had to wake me up because he doesn't have the code for the alarm system.
Okay.
So I had to get up to let him out, and he really didn't say much. He was just like, oh, I got to go, man. I was like, okay. See ya. See you later, dude.
So he slept on a hard cement floor with a moving blanket.
Yes.
Wow.
He was out, too.
Well, vodka will do that for you.
Yeah, the funny thing, though, is the whole time he was sleeping, he's still fucking talking. The whole night, I kept getting woke up by fucking him talking in his sleep. It's like, come on, just kill me.
So, being that you may have to do that, in the future. So what's the contingency plan now?
Oh, there's no contingency plan. Next time I'm going to tell him he can't stay.
Yeah.
That's just going to be, that's it.
You got to go.
Yeah. I don't like you. I definitely do. He's a good dude, hard worker, good guy. But no, can't stay. Can't be on the show. Just the way it is.
Well, there's nothing worse than having to babysit a drunk.
Yeah, not really. Not that you would know. You've never had to babysit me.
Nope, never had to do that.
Oh boy.
But I never had to do it for an entire night.
That was tough. It was definitely was not what I expected. And it sucked too, because we were on a roll for a minute.
Yeah, we were.
You know, we were in that zone for a second, and then we fell right out of it.
Sure.